Thank you for having me. To the faculty, staff, trustees, and President Ross, it's a pleasure to come back. It's been fantastic. A special thank you to the on-campus CMU police. I got the green ticket with a smiley face on it on my rental car. It'll have a special place on the top of all of my other unpaid parking tickets I received while I was here. And welcome parents, friends, family, pets, neighbors, second cousins. Really, whoever you borrowed money from to get to this point. The terms of your loan have come due. And don't kid yourself, that's exactly why they're here. And welcome to you, the class of 2015 Central Michigan University. Congratulations. "25 years ago, I barely earned a bachelor's degree from this school. It was a Bachelor's of Science in Business Administration, a BS and BA. Most of my friends will tell you I was very strong in the BS. My wife, who is from Ohio and still chooses to believe that Michigan is part of Canada, would say it was a capital BS and a lowercase BA. But I had that diploma in hand and I launched myself onto the treadmill of corporate America. I couldn't wait. I was ready. I knew that with that degree, I could run longer and faster than anybody else. Fast forward 20 years, I was still running. In some years, I had run really fast. I was very fortunate. I had a wife and 4 beautiful kids. I lived in a great neighborhood. We drove very expensive cars and took great vacations. In the words of Charlie Sheen, winning! There's a guy you would never think would be quoted in commencement, right? Neither did he. At least from the outside, it appeared that way, and frankly, I guess, with my measuring stick at the time and the way that I saw success, I did as well. The path that took me from from that business person to documentary filmmaker is a longer story. And judging by some of the faces of some of the people sitting out there, I don't know that you're up for a long story. I'm sure it was Euchre and Mountain Dew that kept you up all night. So I'll keep it short. 5 years ago, my eyes were open to an issue that was right in front of me, but I had never seen it before. An acquaintance shared a personal story about homelessness, and I was shocked. I couldn't believe what I was hearing. I was so compelled that I did research to find out what the truth was behind this issue. Later, I was in New York, and I had a meeting with a gentleman doing an investment bank deal. Incredible man named Malcolm Bricklin. And you probably don't know who that is, but you should look him up because he's extraordinary and slightly crazy at the same time. So, of course, the meeting was in a ping pong club. And after the meeting, he said, we should go to the back room and you should meet my son. And so I went back there and I was speaking to this gentleman who turned out to be Morgan Spurlock. And I told him, I said, you should do a documentary about homelessness in the United States. And I started telling him everything that I knew. And he said, well, you should do it. And Susan Sarandon walked over and she said, how can I help you? And I thought this was ridiculous. That's not me. That's not what I do. I'd never gone to film school. But it kept coming back to me, why not me? Why not? I mean, I always wanted to go to film school. Why not me? Suddenly, I felt the corporate treadmill slowing down, and eventually I stepped off. In making the change from business to documentary filmmaker, what I realized was that my degree was not a tour guide. My degree was a backpack. It was not constraining me to what my opportunities were. It was simply the tools to use in whatever I chose. And that was the foundation for me moving forward, and whatever it was, that I thought was important. The film I'm most proud of, and that recently came out, I'm proud of all my films, but this film, Waiting for Mamu, is a film I did about a woman in Nepal. Pushpa Basnet was 21 years old, probably the same age or maybe even a little younger than most of you. And in Nepal, she had seen an issue she had never seen before. In Nepal, if a parent is sentenced to prison and they don't have a legal guardian for their children go to prison with them, and they sit on the prison floors. And so Pushpa at age 21 saw this during her academic studies. Same question arose: why not me? Pushpa at 21 started an organization and started legally adopting these kids out of prison. We started documenting her when she was one of 45,000 CNN Hero nominees. And she went on to win the CNN Hero of the Year in 2012. Now, for you people who are not the math majors, because I get this question all the time, what are the odds? Well, they're exactly 1 in 45,000. Pushpa's now 30. She's raised over 200 children. She has 45 to 50 kids that live with her all the time. One of the issues that has confronted her throughout is what the stigma that these children carry of being prison children does not bode well for her rental of housing. And so she has been evicted 5 times in 7 years because these are prison children. So when we made the film, the idea was that we were going to use it to build a house. Every time we screened the film, we would have a fundraiser and we would build a house in Nepal. And she and I worked side by side now for 3 years. Halfway around the world when we started and now much closer, but every day, nearly every day, we speak. To see her perseverance, her persistence, to build that with her, to be part of that was amazing. The house was set to open in October. And with all of the awards and all of the accolades that the film had received, they seemed quite trivial compared to what we had done to build this house, to give the security to these kids for the first time really in their lives. That's when I really felt like I knew what success was. F the treadmill. But life is cruel, sometimes crazy. So on April 25th, that house came down. Sorry. The house came down in an earthquake. As did the house she was living in. Thank God, nobody was hurt. 48 kids live in a field right now under some tarps. And I wasn't going to come here. But Pushpa said, "Oh my boy, tell our story." So I'm here. I'm really going to stop. That perseverance, compassion, and grit to keep going even when you've been hit the hardest and you know you can't get up. You get up and you dust the backpack off and you just keep going. Those two were lessons I learned right here. Most of them I didn't recognize at the time, but many of them I searched where this came from, and I know it was on this campus. And for everybody who had a part of that, faculty, staff, thank you. So I'm going to stop talking about that because a grown man should not stand at your commencement and cry. That might be like a bad sign for your future. So anyway, I best, I guess, tell stories. And so I'm just going to tell this story, and I hope that you take something from the story. When I was a kid, like most of your parents and grandparents, I learned a lot from books called Dick and Jane. So this is a modified Dick and Jane story. Dick and Jane and Jill were friends. They all graduated at the same time from Central Michigan University. All received incredible degrees and had promising careers ahead of them. They were all well-liked and destined for unbelievable success. One day, on their way home, Jane saw the most horrible injustice she'd ever seen in her life. It was beyond anything she thought was possible, heartbreaking, horrifying, shameful, and senseless. And it was right in front of them. She pointed it out to the others, but what Jane didn't realize is this horrible thing had actually been right in front of her all the time, on that same corner. But now she saw it. Now everybody saw it because she pointed it out. Jane decided on that day that she must do something. This was bigger than money. This was bigger than title. This was bigger than anything for her. So she left her job the next day, and she went down to that corner, and she used all of her skills, all of that CMU had given her, and all of her heart, and started a mission to stop this injustice and make everyone see it, acknowledge it, and be part of a solution. Jill was not so bold. She appreciated and respected what Jane was doing. Jill wanted to help, so she used her job in corporate America to support Jane. She helped spread the word, organized fundraisers, brought it into her company as part of their mission as well. She would go down there on weekends and help out. Jill was a vital part of the solution, but in a different capacity, finding ways through her corporation to help and be a voice for Jane and for the people that Jane represented. Dick did nothing. Instead, he would sit in his office and look down at that corner and laugh at Jane. He pointed out to her and many others how ridiculous this was, and surely these people probably were in some way deserving of what they had gotten. If they had been smart, hardworking, just like him, they would have achieved the same things that he was achieving. Years later, the three came back to homecoming. Jill had had a fantastic career in combining these innovative ways of philanthropy and company to make her company much better and stronger, as they were seen as more than just the widget. They were seen as part of a community. They were seen as vital and important and giving back. And that boded very well for the company and for the company's revenues. And people wanted to support the company because of that. Jane had gone on to be the global voice for many causes and had ended, in fact, the very thing that she set out in the beginning to end. And she went on to other great endeavors, the impossible, and being part of solutions to make the impossible possible. Dick was rich. He pulled up in a fancy car and talked about his fancy house, talked about his great vacations, talked about front row tickets to baseball games, all-star games, His legacy would be defined by a corner office and a nameplate. Each of us has a chance to be a Jane or a Jill or a Dick. Don't be a dick. Money is important to sustain yourself, but it is not who you are. You have a chance to be amazing, and when I say amazing, I mean world-changing. I have seen it firsthand, and it's incredible, and it's normal people like us. Money is important only in that it allows you to help and be part of somebody else's success as well. And please keep that in mind. We all have a corner that we can go to. We all have an opportunity to go to that corner and to help. Find your corner, go down there, help. Whatever that is, whatever your skills are, please be part of that change. It will change you as much as it changes the situation. And if one day you wake up and you realize you're a dick, change it. We all make mistakes. You will go down the wrong path. You will end up in places you never thought you would be. Some of you have probably already experienced this. But these moments of dictum don't have to define the rest of your life. You can change. You can be a Jane or a Jill. It's not too late. Also know that there are a lot of dicks out there. And they won't change by telling them this story. They will change when they see good examples, when they see success and happiness comes from being a Jane or a Jill, and when they are given the opportunity to be part of something bigger. So I would encourage you to continue to invite your dicks to the corner, no matter how many times they say no. So, obviously there are two takeaways here. Pay your parking tickets on time, and don't be a dick. And real quickly, if you would like to make Push by your corner, waitingformamu.com. Please go to waitingformamu.com. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Morgan, for sharing your time, your wisdom, and particularly your story with our newest graduates. At this time, I'm pleased to confer upon Mr. Morgan the honorary degree, Doctor of Public Service, for his outstanding accomplishments. Come on. The hood that Dr. Gale places on his shoulders will serve as the symbol of one of the university's highest honors. The diploma citing the honorary degree will now be presented. Congratulations, Dr. Morgan. Teaching is core to our mission at CMU. The Excellence in Teaching Award is an annual award of paramount importance, honoring professors who are judged by our alumni, by our current students, and by our current faculty to be CMU's very, very best teaching professors. Provost Gale, will you please present the Excellence in Teaching Award recipients?
Thank you. Will Dr. Janine Nartker from Human Environmental Studies Department please come forward? Dr. Nartker is a professor of interior design in the Department of Human Environmental Studies. According to a colleague of 27 years, her enthusiasm for her subject matter is unmatched by any other colleague with whom I have worked. She is passionate about her field and communicates its importance to students from her first meetings with them and throughout their movements through the entire program. One student shared that she was the kind of professor who believed in students, sometimes even more than the students believe in themselves. Another student noted, she takes the time to get to know each student and wants to see them succeed in the program. She makes sure that every student has the opportunity to speak individually with her, and she treats them with respect. Lastly, a student commented, "She is the type of teacher that made a huge impact on my college life, and I will cherish that relationship forever." Congratulations, Dr. Wood Nartker.
Folks, when we award this teacher, Thank you. The Excellence in Teaching Award, actually, she knew I just forgot. There's a monetary portion of this award that goes to recipients. And I want to share with you that we have a Jill and a Jane in the house. Dr. Wood Nartker wants to not receive her award, but to donate it to Mr. Morgan and to the house